Hi everyone, French Vinyl Addict on another thread video. I'm hopping on another challenge or thread brought by Alex, Beer and Vinyl. He just celebrated his 1 year activities on YouTube. He started his very own channel about 1 year ago. And he came up with this very good idea about focusing on a special year. I do have lots of favorite years. When it comes to prog, when it comes to post-punk, new wave, or maybe late 60s stuff. I do have several favorite period of time where a lot of great album creativity were like really like buzzing back in the days and still now. So it's very interesting. I recently hosted a live stream with American Assam. And and they have a sort of connection with Alex, since I think they were close friends, or they were friends. And Alex started his channel, and I knew about his channel thanks to Sam. As I said, we were discussing about 4 days ago something in a live stream I did host on my channel, and we talk about a pivotal year. And it turned out that 1969, I do have a lot of records album released in that year, so I have a great deal of experience. I was in 1969. I was minus 17 years old, so I don't have any. I'm not an expert by any means, and I don't have maybe I don't have enough credibility to talk about that. But when I look back, the music I grew up with, those great albums, Hendrix and all these great stuff that was happening in the UK or in the US and everywhere. It was pretty amazing. And so I decided to focus on this video to have the year 1969 in focus. What a year. So it happens lots of creative things. Woodstock was probably the climax counterculture event. So many things happened. And so we'll be kicking off with 3 albums that were, in my humble book, sort of game changer, deal changer. Like, they brought something very new to the table. When they came out, they instantly served as a massive source of inspiration. Like, things will never be as they was before, if you see what I mean. So I will be kicking off with the masterpiece, in a Court of Crimson King. This is King Crimson's first album. This is an absolutely masterpiece. Whenever you like or not progressive music, this has been a massive source of inspiration for all this generation that came after. Lots of great influence. These guys from Bournemouth in the southern part of England, they dropped the masterpiece only 2 years after they have been formed, and it's truly a 69 project. As the first rehearsal was like January 13th, and the last gig they made December 14th, 1969. So truly an adventure, an MK1, if I could say so. That Crimson were pretty much active during that first year of prog. So you should. So if you never heard about this one, so I'm sure you guys you know the cover, and even if you are not like prog freak, prog freak. So you know about this cover, you know about his history. So this is simply an album that paved the way for so many prog bands, so many progressive rock artists after it came out. So this is King Crimson. And another deal changer album that came out in '69. First, Chicago Transit Authority. Probably one of the first time we can hear those fusion, jazz, and rock on the same album. One of the very first album that contains a sample. The crowd was like recorded during the events happened in 1968, and it served as a sample as well. Some hip hop bands, for French rap hip hop, they took some guitar riff for their own material 20 years later, and it's simply a masterpiece, a double album, very experimental in a way sometimes. So Chicago Transit Authority, it's a classic. I don't have to talk too much about that. And the last one I think in my humble opinion, that was like a very game changer. Like nothing will be as it used to be before. So it's, yeah, Led Zeppelin. I know some of you like Led Zeppelin, some of you are not. It reminds me when I was 14 years old, the first time I heard, Dazed and Confusions, which is probably a rip-off Jack Holzman, and we all agree now, communication breakdown. What a discovery when you're 14 years old in France or whatever you grew up listening to these guys, this guitar riff. So I think when it came out, many artists decided to not maybe to copy or to do some of the same hard rock blues influence kind of stuff, and I think the psychedelic as we knew by then, it probably fade away probably at the time. Correct me if I'm wrong, this is the perception I have. So all these psychedelic swinging along the 60s and on the East Coast, on the West Coast as well. So the psychedelic movement, probably when this came out, it really changed the deal. So this is Led Zeppelin first one, and I have a couple of other records that came out in '69. This one is pretty funny. It has a connection with the Yardbirds as well. Jimmy Page previously played with the Yardbirds. This one as well. This is two ex-members from the Yardbirds. They formed the band. Keith Rilf, and Jim McCarthy. They were previously by the Birds. They tried a folk project. It didn't last too long. And they formed the band Renaissance. Really like this word. Pretty easy to pronounce for myself. Renaissance. This is MK1, as I said. Very first Renaissance. This is not a Renaissance with Hani Aslam. In the 75, Sherazade, all that kind of stuff. This is the very first leg of the journey, so to say. When they tried something folk, classical in a way. Didn't have lots of success for when they recorded the second one. They simply disbanded. So the two co-founder, they just decided to give up. And the rest is history, of course. But I like this one as well. I really like it. It's the last track, Bullet, lasts 11 minutes, almost 12 minutes long, and it's almost free. It's very experimental if you give a bit of a fair hearing to that song. So Renaissance, debut album 1969. The next one, I don't talk often about the Beatles. I love the Beatles. I grew up with the Beatles. I have all the CDs. I have all like books. I spent a great deal of time when I was young studying, reading about the Beatles. Now, there are so many videos in the VC about the Stones, the Beatles, the Who, the Led Zeppelin. So I don't think it's not my mission to talk about the Beatles, to do videos about the Fab Four, because they already have so many. But 1969, this album came out, and it is important to me. I need to mention, I won't talk too much about that. It's one of my favorite top 3 albums by the Beatles, probably along with Sgt. Pepper and Revolver. What a masterpiece. Second side is almost prog with this medley. It's simply beautiful. So I won't be talking about that too much, but I needed to mention for today's video. This is Abbey Road, the Beatles. Then a band I'm really into right now. They were like the source of the renewal of the British folk in the late 60s. It started with probably the early 60s. People like Donovan. They were like covering songs by Lead Belly, Woody Guthrie, and Bob Dylan did exactly the same in the US. And they were this sort of trend, sort of movement that that arose at the time. And this band, so it's simply simply beautiful. They dropped 3 albums or 2. I'm not sure about this one. Since on the label it's them 68, but I think yeah, they were pretty much active, recording, yeah, I think 3 albums within 18 months, something like really active. Yeah, the first one, this is a folk band. This is Fairport Convention. Fairport Convention started as they were pretty much covering the Emmett Rhodes, Bob Dylan, not Emmylou Harris, the Johnny Mitchell songs on the first one. Then singer Judy Dybel was replaced with Sandy Denny. Sandy Denny came. They dramatically changed their sound, since she had more like British folk as a DNA, so to say. They hired Dave Swarbrick, fiddle player, changed the sound. This is the first one they made with Sandy Denny. That's a masterpiece. This is an absolutely classic album. Legion Leaf, yeah, with Matty Groves, for instance, amazing album. After that, Ashley Hutchings, yeah, formed Still I Span, another band. So yeah, Dave Matax, Richard Thompson has also made a solo career with his wife, Linda. They dropped a couple of interesting albums, but yeah, 1969, see, this was like, and it served as a source of inspiration for the prog as well. I think when Genesis recorded their Trespass album the following year, they were like constantly listening to King Crimson's and this album, yeah, for just for the record. The next one is something like related to Sandy Denny, the Strobes, and yeah, the reason they had a record, not a record deal, but I think they had a deal. The first album Sandy Denny recorded with the Strobes prior to this one was only released like a couple of years later, but they had worked together. So in his world of folk, the Strobes, as I say, this is the first album, very folky. They will evolve throughout the time, toward more progressive, including more progressive elements in their music. Working with Rick Wakeman, for instance, on the third album. This is the first one, as I said, 1969. Very folk, very British folky. This one, really like Dragonfly. The second one is also interesting in that sense. Now back to France. Always interesting to introduce you some French masterpiece that didn't get the exposure they would have deserved. And yeah, once again, I'm talking about this one. This is a variation, or les variations. Nador is a city in Morocco. Why? Because these people, France is they has lots of things to do with the post-colonialism, like maybe Britain, with Pakistan or India. France is pretty much the same with North Africa countries like Senegal or Mali, Morocco. And so those people, they grew up, they were born in Morocco. Jewish Moroccan people, formed in Paris, made with Petit Poire, this guy, formed an incredible band, blues. It's amazing, including already included Oriental elements, like 4 years before Led Zeppelin did, just to mention. What an incredible album. If I were to make a ranking about my favorite French rock band by French artists, this would probably make my top 3 without any hesitation. How amazing is that? So if you like this kind of heavy blues, hard rock blues, from the late 60s, you just give a fair hearing to this one. And another band we always talk about is a Detroit sound, the Stooges, the MC5, and we don't have to forget about these guys. They were from Flint, Michigan as well. This is a Grand Funk Railroad, a power trio. One incredible album. This is the pure hard rock as I like. They had some massive success with their double live album that you can see pretty much everywhere in the dollar bins. This is incredible, Paranoid or Inside Looking Out. Inside, they cover an Animal song. So yeah, three people with a fourth member, an invisible, which called ultra amplification. Yeah, it was played really loud, but this guy knew how to play really. Now back in the UK, yeah, we were talking about, you know, Fairport Convention. We were talking about all these bands that serve as a source of inspiration for the progressive rock, Moody Blues, Procol Harum, of course, all these bands, and they were also family. It's interesting. They dropped several albums. They didn't have lots of success. I think Rick Gretsch joined Blind Faith with a Ginger Baker and Eric Clapton shortly after this one or the third one. I'm not sure about that, but it's interesting. They had some blues influence, very much present on the first one, Music in a Doll's House, and on this one it's a little bit like more. They give themselves more freedom, you know. It's not like a verse, chorus, verse, 3 minutes structure. It's a little bit different. Is that prog? I'm not sure, but it's certainly proto-prog, interesting album. Also including some oriental elements, family entertainment. Yeah, this is an album I absolutely recommend. Then something more classic. We are still in the UK. Sorry about that. And the Kings, Author. I just listened to this album earlier this morning. Since I really like the Kings. I attended the musical. I was in London in 2016, and they were this musical in don't remember in which theater in London. Their career, they were banned from playing in the US like 3 years. So yeah, Victoria, it came out in the US charts, and yeah, it's interesting album as well. It was intended to be like a soundtrack of a TV show that was never made, but they kept the music, and it's interesting, the concept of a guy who talks about Victoria when she passed away up until the 60s, where his son decided to move to Australia. So all this picture of life, family, typical, how I think lots of people experience this kind of stuff when they were like in Great Britain. We call it the Pommies, I think, the English people that immigrated in the 50s to Australia. There were this TV show, 10 pence Pommies, I think something. My wife, who I did watch the show, I don't really remember. Was interesting. So Author, the decline of the British Author and the decline and fall of the British Empire. And now we are going to US or Canada, whatever. This guy, Neil Young, what a great contribution he made back in the days. All the project he was involved in was really interesting. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Buffalo Springfield, probably one of my favorite albums. I really like the Harvest, no question about that. But the Cinnamon Girl, and it's Down by the River, 9 minutes long. It's this is the type of rock, folk I do like. Never get tired of listening to those kind of stuff. Neil Young. Another band from now we are back in the 60s. We are back in the 60s. We are covering 1969, so come on, Romuald. Groundhogs, back in the UK. I wanted to say Groundhogs Blues Obituary, another band that deserved maybe some more attention on the VC, in my humble opinion. A guy named Jamie, Life of Vinyl. I don't know what happened to him. Yeah, he was like very active in the VC, and he hadn't posted anything for the past 12 months, so I hope he's fine. Yeah, he talked about this one, and as it happens, a couple of months later, I found a copy of British press, not the first, second press. Somebody was explaining to me that before, because of the logo, it's not the very first UK press. Still later release, but interesting. And the Groundhogs, They had a small career. Not sure what happened to them. This is really like heavy blues. So yeah, if you like, you know, this kind of Fleetwood Mac, Peter Green era blues, you know, John Mayall, Blues Breaker, you know, the blues between 64, 66 and 69 in the UK, this was probably be appealing to you. So the groundhogs. And yeah, there is this song Mistreated. It's absolutely great. It goes crescendo. This guy knew how to play. Yeah, another blues band from the 60s from the UK. This is 10 years after or how to pronounce. Yeah, so you know the legend. They played in Woodstock. I find always weird, you know, when they left the stage, they had this massive watermelon on the shoulder. It was like carrying, I don't know why, maybe to hide some bottle of booze. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, a blues album released in 1969. So before they played at Woodstock. Alvin Lee, what a great guitar player. What a pity he passed away a couple of years earlier in a hotel in Spain. Yeah, he had some health issues, pretty like an accident. So it's a pretty pity. It's not my favorite one. I really like the other with I Love to Change the World, released in 71, I think. But yeah, one of the first record I bought when I moved from France. I found it's a French press. Yeah, funny enough, over here in a small store in Montreal. So yeah, early 10 years after. Finishing off with with an all-time classic, The Who, Tommy, a double album. Is that my favorite one? Probably Quadrophenia with this incredible. They wanted to evolve towards probably more prog-ish stuff. Concept album, you know the story. I discovered certain songs on a compilation when I was very young. There was this compilation called the Best of The Who, Volume 1 and Volume 2, and on Volume 2. Yeah, lots of songs they were from the Tommy album, like yeah, I'm Free, the Acid Queen, the Seeker, which is not on that one, Pinball Wizard, and yeah, years later I got myself a copy at a flea market in France. What more can we say about this one? Is that their masterpiece? Is that they, you know, this pretty weird story. This young guy, blind guy, you know, who went through several torture stuff and treatment, and finally recovers, being a guru in the end. So pretty weird when you think about that. But you know, was probably the zeitgeist. I'm not sure. And yeah, Pete Townsend definitely wanted to bring the band to a higher level, and it works. Pinball Wizard, I'm not tired of listening to Pinball Wizard. It's a song regularly play on classic rock radio station, and I'm not even tired of listening to Pinball Wizard. So this is it. 1969. Hope you like it. Thanks for watching. Check out Beer and Vinyl, Alex Beer and Vinyl's channel, and yeah, stay tuned for the next chapter. Bye bye.